This is everything you have to look forward to, as well as everything you need to be cautious of coming into this upcoming week. First of all, what I like to do on a day like today's Sunday, if you're not aware, I like to look at the economic calendar and see exactly what I am watching out for, as well as what days I would like to schedule the majority of my trading around. Now, I'm of the mindset that you can make money any trading day because, well, frankly, people do. So, with that in mind, we just take consideration of the economic calendar for the fact that there might be some potential hiccups in the road. Now, looking over at Forex Factory, which is my preferred economic calendar, frankly, you can actually just look at this over on TradingView. There's a calendar on there as well. There's an indicator for this Forex Factory calendar as in addition to that as well. So there's multiple options you have. You can go to pretty much any website, but April 1st, we can see a couple economic events, right? Pretty much around 10 a.m. Eastern. Wednesday, we have non-farm employment change, as well as we have the impending tariff liberation day. What is to be decided there is, well, we'll have to see. We'll have to wait for that. But I believe the market is going to be largely dictated, the movements at least, around what happens on April 2nd, on Wednesday. Scrolling down the rest of the week, we can see, we got some chairman speaking. We got Powell, obviously, unemployment claims. Pretty standard week. Monday is likely to be a little bit slower. We're going to anticipate that. Potentially look just to trade the range on Monday. We did just have an expansion day on Friday. So typically the day after that is likely to be quite narrow in its range. Doesn't mean you can't trade. Just means you have to have the right expectations. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and actually just hop over to TradingView. We're over on TradingView. We're going to use the Project X platform to look at the charts because simply it's easier to do on my laptop. Right here, first and foremost, we will start with the daily chart. The daily chart tells us a couple levels that we need to keep in mind. So we do have, let's just go ahead and see, this level down here. All right, so we have the September low. We also have this near-term low from March, middle of March. These are the two downside levels that I have in mind. Now, whether or not we start to see a bit of a retracement into the early part of the week is obviously something to keep in mind. I do expect this first day to kind of consolidate. So with that in mind, I don't expect it to necessarily drop. And if it did drop immediately at the open on the week, then potentially can expect there to be some sort of bounce in that sense. We don't necessarily want to see broad-sided weakness. The idea is that after an expansion, you need to build out some sort of consolidation, go a little sideways before you decide to go up or then eventually continue lower. But the idea is I'm expecting some sort of near-term range to form right here. It's a reasonable assumption based on the fact that price likes to go from expansion to then consolidate. This is as simple as, you can visualize this on any time frame of where price is moving towards the moving average, right? So you'll expand lower, consolidate, catch up, let some time pass, and then you continue lower again. That's the basic premise of a trend. That's why it works. Price doesn't typically go so one-sided, so quick. And when it does, that's always a reason to be cautious in the market. Now, what is my specific approach for this week? Well, simply put, I want to keep a very, very, very short time frame perspective on things. I don't want to get too caught up in the perpetual selling, the perma-bear scenario. I want to just look at what are the next 20, 30 minutes going to have in store for me. So that means really leaning into the model that I teach in the Discord and my private community as well. There is a link to join both of those. You can join the Discord for free down below. Check it out. We'll be streaming pretty much until at least all week. We'll be streaming there all week for the full server. Check it out. But what we do is we basically discuss the levels of interest that we have for the day. We don't like to expand too far out in the future. Our job is to day trade, not trade the market outlook for the next 10 years. That's what investing's for, and that's frankly in a different account of mine. So what we're looking at here is really just basing our trade ideas on the next 20, 30 minutes. That means using recent highs, important levels, and ultimately how those things coincide to form a high probability trade setup. Because remember, price zigs and zags. You don't have to always catch the biggest move. You don't even have to catch the obvious move to everyone else. You can catch the trade that makes the most sense to you. And if you can do that consistently based on some rules that you define, well, then you're going to be in a great spot. But what we have in the market, it's pretty simple in my opinion. We had a big expansion on Friday. I was of the mindset that we would potentially have a better chance at holding this new week opening gap from about right here. No support. So that immediately tells me that something's obviously off with my read on the day. So I'm not going to push it too hard on a day like that. But coming into the beginning of the week, I want to see how Asia is opening up, for the new week, opening gap. If there's a gap higher, a gap lower, those pieces of information will help validate my thesis moving into the remainder of the week. Monday, I expect to consolidate. So Monday is a day to be a little bit cautious. Doesn't mean there won't be a setup, but it just means be careful, because how much can this really retrace? Do I expect Monday to take out Friday's high? No, I don't personally. But if we do form some sort of wick below the previous day low, then maybe on Tuesday we can reach higher. Or maybe the scenario is we reach higher then to sell lower. Regardless, Monday's a day to kind of be processing the information, taking technical trades where they're presented, and ultimately looking to be done early. I think with the size of these moves and the violence behind these moves, it's advisable for a lot of people to be very cautious with the trades that they're taking. Do not be overzealous and shorting the lows like really aggressively, because that's been working lately. We want to lean into principles that work consistently over a long period of time. Just because something's worked for a couple weeks doesn't mean that it'll work for a couple more weeks. So that is one piece of information that I want to pass on to you from my years of experience trading these markets. I know that nothing is obviously going to be repeatable in the long run when it's that aggressive. Markets tend to like to consolidate, kind of go sideways. So when you see aggressive trends, always be mindful of location, because those habits that you form right now will lead you to give back profits in the long term. But with these levels, I'm essentially wanting to see how are we going to react to mainly these two levels. I will also be monitoring a retracement into the Friday range, looking at 684 as a potential level in a couple of days. So if we sweep below these lows, rally up to there, that would be a decent idea for me. A dip and then a rip, something like that. It doesn't have to be too insane. We just have to be able to scrape out 50, 60 points. And this volatility, that should be relatively easy. But my approach this week, to make it very clear to everybody, I want to do less. It's been working well for me all month. Just doing less, taking precise shots where I see my model presented. Your model might be different. You might have this or that you look for, and that's perfectly fine. As long as you consistently look for those variables, you'll have a consistent performance that you can either look to improve long term or whatever you might want to do. But with that being said, I hope everybody has a great remainder of their Sunday. We're going to come into this week, we're ready to dominate. And ultimately, just remember that success is built one step at a time. You don't have to overdo anything. You don't have to prove yourself. It doesn't matter how fast anyone else moves. You're on your own path. And that's the one thing that I want to try to communicate to people, because this game is very toxic in the sense that you're almost told you have to compare yourself to others. And if you're a trader out there and you're taking 3 trades a month, that's fine. If you're making progress month over month, I'm going to applaud that. There's nothing negative I can say about that. You just have to do what makes sense for you. And I think that's the most important message that I could pass on. So more importantly, how you start the week is how you're going to end it. Walk in with the right mindset, because what we have here is very volatile markets, and don't let that be a reflection of your inability to trade. It just means that you need to adapt to the circumstances, because it's not the model that makes the trader, it's the trader that makes the model work. So let's go ahead and start this week off really strong. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to share with a friend, leave a like, subscribe, because there's a lot of people out there that do not subscribe. So if you're one of them, do me a favor. And till next time, take care.